So people throw out, oh, we'll do a sign and trade. Okay, you find me a player on a sign and trade deal, knowing that the Bulls don't have any picks in 2023 and 2025 that is as good as Zach LaVine, a dynamic scorer who has a size, who has a length, that has shown you there is no drop-off when he plays alongside another superstar player in DeMar DeRozan. And also, if you're still finding yourself, after this whole soliloquy, questioning whether you deserve to give Zach LaVine a max contract, let me give you a name of some of the players who have received max contracts in the NBA, Max and Key. Gordon Hayward, Andrew Wiggins, Tobias Harris, John Collins, De'Aaron Fox. You tell me that Zach LaVine isn't better than all those players I just mentioned.
Those are mistake contracts.
Regardless of whatever way, it's what the market dictates.
But as
Max.
a Bulls fan, you may not want to pay market for something like, in other words, I think you're making a persuasive case. Key, I think he's making a persuasive case for Zach LaVine.
You pay this man his money.
For his career, he's like 24-4. But in recent years, he's like 25-5-5, shooting like 40% from three, taking 7-8 threes a game, and he can finish at the rim. And also, he's a show. He puts on, like, he's spectacular, right? Is he worth a max contract? He is one of those borderline cases. You can argue for it for sure.
But here, Key, are you going to penny pinch him and then lose him because he's slightly borderline? Borderline is what the market dictates. Key, we talk about this all the time in football.
I'm going to pay him. I'm going to give him his money because he deserves his money. And I would say, when you look at people that you mentioned on that list, Gordon Hayward, for instance, goes to Boston, gets his money, but he got hurt. So we never really saw what we saw previously because the injury kicked in and then everything went downhill. Andrew Wiggins, I like Andrew Wiggins. Now, whether or not it's max money and the type of money he's making, maybe some would argue that it's overpaying to a degree, but the market is the market. And Zach LaVine is going to get his money. That's just the bottom line, whether it's in Chicago or somewhere else.
Yeah, and here's the other thing. When you talk about bottom lines, paying a guy, like the market is the market, to me is not a good enough reason to give a guy a max deal because it soaks up a lot of the salary cap, right?
It is a good enough reason, Max. That's why they're doing it.
No, I get it, but if it's a dead-end player, if it's a player like, I can't pay this guy a max contract and win a championship, I wouldn't do it. But if he's already on your team and you got his bird rights and everything, right, and you can bust through the salary, what difference does it make? It's not like you're signing him as a free agent. He's already on your squad, so you can give him a max deal, and it doesn't really hurt you because you can give your other players max deals too if they're that good.
All I'm saying is he's out tonight due to health and safety protocol. And that 25-5-5, even though in this playoff series he's averaging 19 points per game, his ability, his sheer presence on the court creates other space for guys like DeMar DeRozan, other guys to operate offensively. So people just in Chicago, we talk about this every single day. Does he have the mentality? And I kind of been lured into it and thinking through it over the last couple of weeks. I'm like, man, you pay this dude his money because he is somebody that you can build around long-term with because of the type of assassin he is offensively and what he brings to the table.
He is like key. Like the argument against paying a max contract would actually be, well, but he's not the best player on a championship team. On the other hand, he's kind of a perfect complementary piece to the best player on a championship team because he can shoot from distance at a very high level, and he's super athletic.
And there's been no drop-off when you have another guy on this team who's in the MVP conversation. Typically what happens, Key, when a guy like DeMar DeRozan comes on your team and he becomes the primary focus of your offense, the other player that used to be the star has a major drop-off. Well, I'm just trying to figure out where I get my touches. You know, the offense isn't ran the same. I'm operating in a different space of the floor that I'm used to. There hasn't been a drop-off with Zach LaVine. So he is the perfect complementary player if you are able to find that next-tier superstar that wants to be in Chicago.
No, he is certainly holding his end of the bargain, no question about it. I think, you know, and that's one of the reasons that you do pay him because you can pay him. He's worth every penny, price of admission. There's no question about it. It's so funny that we are now entering Game 5 of this series and we talking about Chicago in a different light, and now we're starting to isolate on individual players. 2 weeks, and not even 2 weeks ago, a week ago, we was like, Chicago, they don't have a chance. They're not this, they're not that. Zach LaVine, oh man, he's got to step up to the plate. They've got to do this. DeMar DeRozan, can he lead a team? Now all of a sudden we talking about giving people max money.
LaVine is
Ain't
listed,
that funny?
Yeah, LaVine is listed as questionable, but he did not travel with the team to Milwaukee. He's in health and safety protocols. Coach Billy Donovan said Zach LaVine would not travel with the team to Milwaukee. That's Tuesday. That's, on Tuesday he said that, but he will continue. That's yesterday. But he will continue to test before tonight's Game 5. So there's a good chance he doesn't play, but we shall see.
Well, Milwaukee's only an hour away from Chicago, so if he's able to test out, then he would actually
But your claim, Jay, is his absence can highlight his value.
Yes, and especially in a game tonight where it's a potential closeout.
But why is there even questions on whether or not he should be paid?
Because this has been a conversation looming around Chicago the whole year, Key, and sometimes you don't know what you have until it's not there.
Right.
In a critical moment. So you talk about signature moments. I think this has a chance to be a signature moment for Zach LaVine.
Yeah, it's easy to start saying about what a guy doesn't do, but his absence highlights what he does do. Because you're like, oh, now I ain't got that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Tune in tonight, by the way, as the Bulls visit the Bucks. NBA playoffs are on ESPN Radio. Oh, it's so good. You got to run errands. You got to go somewhere, whatever. You don't miss a thing. ESPN Radio. Pop it right up on in the car. Presented by Indeed. Coverage begins at 7 p.m. Eastern on most ESPN radio stations. Well, look, the issue with max contracts is because there's a limited amount of money under the salary cap, can you win if you give a guy a max contract? Certainly, you figure if you give KD a max contract, that's the guy you want. There's no question. Give him a max contract. If there's a super max, give that to him. If there's something beyond that, give that to him. But will the Nets ever get a max return out of KD?
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus right now.